Another adventure I had growing up in my journey of developing this self trust was the fact that when I was often out and performing, I would end up with um, three likely outcomes. One, I get an enthusiastic response from the audience and my friends who go, "Wow, that was an amazing thing," they celebrate that I've done a performance. And there was a bunch of them that basically held themselves back and said nothing because they didn't want to say anything or they were being polite. Maybe I wasn't that good at that time. And the third one were people who were obviously jealous and envious that they didn't have what it takes to take the stand I did and perform, but they wanted it and they would begin to say things. Of course, in the beginning, that affected me a lot because I wasn't that matured yet and I hadn't grown that much. And so I started feeling bad about myself and the things that they said affected me, that they would try to steal my ideas and my lines, and they would try to outperform me using the very things I created. And that didn't leave a very good taste in my mouth. But I began to learn to understand that there was an opposing force to that self trust. And I started asking where they came from. And I realized that they were given every opportunity, like me, to volunteer themselves and step forward, which I did courageously, and they didn't, and they hesitated. And that simply came from a place that they were lacking, or they didn't have it, or that they lost the opportunity to me. And I began to realize that I needed to listen to not just what the person says, but from where they are saying from. And this, interestingly, began to distinguish between the voices and the people who I should listen to versus the people who said things in a very malicious way. And I learned to not listen to the malicious ones because they were not good for me. They were out to attack me, and I had to handle that in a different way. And what I didn't realize at that time, that I now know, was that that was actually the beginning of the development of wisdom. And I had started to learn to listen to the wisdom behind what people say and what to trust in what they say. And even better, I learned to use these negative attacks as a way of deciding and finding out where my weaknesses were so I could work on those and develop those. So I guess part of the journey as you learn to trust yourself is that you learn to listen to the counsel of the inner voice, and the wisdom that it had probably began that way.